Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the lottery for the affordable units at Bridgewater Viva. My name is David Cashman. I'm with SEB Housing. If you're here, you obviously know us by now. You've gone through the process up to this point of submitting the materials to get into the lottery. So good work getting that far. Um, so we'll do the lottery drawing tonight. Before we get started, I'll give you just a little bit of information about the number of applicants, how many waiting lists there will be, and some of the things you should expect moving forward. Probably spend, depending on how many questions there are, if there are any questions, 5 to 10 minutes going through some of that preliminary stuff. And then once we've done that, we will do the lottery drawings. And in total, it could take anywhere from 30 minutes to possibly even an hour, depending on largely depending on how many people have questions. So before we get started, I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay. So I'll just type the question, and if someone can respond, so I know that there isn't any issue there. And also, if there's anyone who does not know their lottery application number, great, thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone who does not know their lottery application number? If you know it, great. Please don't tell me. I don't want to know it. But if you don't know it, you forgot it, please let me know, and I will get you that number now before we start, so you know what number you're looking for. Okay, great. So it sounds like everyone knows their lottery application number, which is good. So just a little bit of background information. There are 68 completed applications from households that will be entered into this lottery. But as you know, there were a lot of affordable units at this development, and so households' chances of getting to move forward are pretty good, even though there are 68 is a pretty healthy size number of households for a lottery. But there are 75 affordable units in total at the development. I'm going to do two drawings, okay? So there will be a local preference drawing first. There were 5 households who indicated that they qualified for local preference. So I will do their drawing first. I'll pick their numbers out of the box, hold them up as I go, and note them as I go as well. So just bear with me if the drawing is a little bit slow. I'm kind of a one-man operation trying to draw the numbers and write them down and keep track as I go, so that I can also organize them later. And then after I do the local preference drawing, there will be the general drawing, and that will include all 68 households, including the local preference. So local preference drawing first, followed by the general drawing with all 68 households. Now remember, as a general proposition, yes, it is good to be drawn earlier rather than later, but the order in which I draw the lottery numbers doesn't tell you the whole story for a number of reasons, including you have no idea what the other lottery numbers, what household size they were, if they were local preference or not, if they applied for a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom. You don't know any of that. So as I draw these numbers out, that's generally better to be drawn earlier than later, but you're not going to know what exactly this means in terms of where you're going to be on the waiting list until a little later this evening. I'll send out the waiting list. Okay, now the waiting list will be organized top to bottom in the order that households will get to move forward to the next step in this process. So the waiting lists are really the document that lets you know, okay, I'm number X on the 1-bedroom, so I should expect to kind of move, if I'm number 5 on the 1-bedroom and there are 26 units, well, then I'm getting to move forward, okay? If I'm number 15 on the 3-bedroom list and there are 4 of those units, well, I might not get called forward at all. I might not get called forward right away. I'm just going to have to wait and see because there are 14 households ahead of me and only four units on that list. Okay, so when I send the waiting list tonight, they'll be organized with your lottery numbers, and you all have those. And so you'll just have to scan through. You know which lists you qualified for, and you'll just look at the lists and say, okay, A.005, and here I am on the 1-bedroom list, and here I am on the 2-bedroom list. So now I have a sense of kind of where I am moving forward in the next step. There are going to be seven waiting lists that I make from this lottery drawing. There's going to be a studio waiting list that has 8 units, 12 applicants. A 1-bedroom waiting list, 26 units, 28 applicants. 2-bedroom waiting list, 32 units, 29 applicants. A 2-bedroom disabled accessible waiting list that has 2 units and 2 applicants, so they both know they're moving forward on that list, just as an example. A 3-bedroom waiting list that has 4 units and 17 applicants. A 3-bedroom disabled accessible waiting list that has 2 units and 2 applicants. And a 3-bedroom hearing impaired unit waiting list that has 1 unit and 1 applicant. Okay, you don't have to memorize that. That's just a little bit of background info. And when I send you the waiting list this evening, within the next few hours, I will include a lottery night handout document that just has that information as well as some of the other relevant information moving forward. So you can just take a look at that if you're kind of curious how many total applicants there were and how it all shook out. It's all right there. So remember, so this is great that you've gotten this far. You're in the lottery. We're going to do the drawing momentarily. I'll send you the waiting list within the next few hours, so then you'll know kind of where you are on the waiting list and when you can expect to move forward. And then the next step in this process is going to be to apply for a lease with the leasing office. Remember, SEB Housing is not the leasing office. We work with the leasing office and the management team, and we support them, but we are not the leasing office, so we're not going to be the ones that, are giving tours of the units or, doing a lease application screening. That will be the management team, okay? And one thing to know is that they did have some construction delays. So at present, the first affordable units are expected by March 1st. It could be a little bit earlier than that, but there is going to be a little bit of that lag time between the lottery now and March 1st, obviously, when units are first ready. And then units will be delivered over a period of some time starting on March 1st. I am going to provide you with the leasing office contact information tonight. And so you can begin to reach out to them to set up appointments to move forward and applying for a lease. I'm also going to give your contact information to them so that when they start inviting households to move forward, they can get in touch with you. I don't know exactly when they're going to do that. I imagine they'll reach out to you fairly shortly to give you some sense. If they haven't contacted you, they may just not have gotten to your, turn on the waiting list yet. So please keep your waiting list position in mind as you're thinking about, when you might expect to be contacted. So you'll both have each other's contact information, and the next step will be to move forward in applying for a lease and selecting the unit of your choice, assuming you qualify, right? Okay, so SEB Housing has not done any lease screening of you at this point. We don't, nor do we. That's not our function. So don't, give any notice to your current landlord or anything yet, because you're not quite done with the process. So you have to apply and be eligible for a lease. Now, if you are, then you move to the third and final step of this process, which is the final review of program eligibility with SEB Housing. Now, to get into this lottery, you did have to complete an application. You did not have to submit supporting income and asset documentation with your application. But if you do move forward, if you do apply for a lease, you're eligible and you reserve a unit, then before you can move in, you are going to have to complete that final review of program eligibility with SEB housing. Now, when we sent you your lottery application number, we sent you a guide with all of the documents that would be necessary to complete that step. Hopefully some of you have begun to assemble that documentation so that if and when your turn comes up, you've got a file all, mostly built and ready to go, and you're not starting to collect documentation from the beginning, because there can be a lot of documentation that's required. So hopefully you've started to collect some of those things. And once you are, if and when you are lease eligible and you've reserved a unit, it's going to be the expectation that you complete the final program certification with us within 10 days or so. So the leasing office wants to know if you're going to be program eligible, and who's going to be able to lease units there. And so there is a time limitation to be aware of, and you're just going to want to kind of move with some sense of urgency as you complete your program certification with SEB housing. So that's kind of it. I know there's a couple households that joined since I started. I'm going to start doing the drawing now. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask me before I get started? Or is everyone good? And if you're silent, I'll take that as an indication that we're good to start and do the drawing. Okay, great. So I'm going to do the local preference drawing first. Okay, Israel David. Is that your name, Israel David? Let's see here. David Israel Salas. Is that your name? Israel Salas, A.051. A.051. Anyone else not know their lottery application number? Awesome. Okay. So we'll do the local preference drawing first. That's going to be quick. It's only 5 households. I'll show them as I go. And then I'll do when that's done, then we'll move on to the general drawing. I've already put the 5 numbers in the lottery box. Okay. I'll be drawing them out, and I'll show them as I go. Here we go. Local preference drawing. And the first number is A.063. Okay, next number. A.045. Next number is A.043. A.056. And the last one is A.030. All right, like I said, that was going to be quick, only 5 numbers. Blink and you might miss it. That was it. Okay, now we're going to, by the way, so here are all the 68 households now that are going to be in the general drawing, okay, including the 5 local preference ones, because that's how we do it. I've already pre-shuffled them. I did it when I made all the note cards to make sure that they were all shuffled up. I'll do just a couple more cuts here, and then I'll shake them up once I put them in the box. But again, they're already kind of shuffled up. So I put them in the box. All right, here we go. A.011. This is the general drawing now. So, sorry. Next number. 012. A.035. A.007. A.050. A.058. A.019. A.005. A.003. A.034. A.048. A.055. A.001. A.044. A.026. A.057. A.015. A.064. A.059. A.041. A.013. A.017. A.014. A.023. A.020. A.009. A.040. A.056. A.042. A043, A002, A.006, A.004, A.045, A.045. Okay, that was just if you're curious, that was the 34th household drawn, so we're halfway through. I'm going to just shuffle up the box a little more. Okay, and here we go. Second half of the drawing. A.051, A.031, A016, A039, A.039, A.065, A.066, A.062, A.028, A.022, A.022, A.052, A.063, A.068, A.008, A.018, A.060, A.054, A.027, A.021, A.047, A.046. A.029. A.029. One more shake up here. A.053. A.025. A.024. A.049. A.033. A.036. A.061. A.038. A.037. A.030. Okay, just three left here. Three left. A.010. A.067. And last but not least is A.032. A.032. All right, so that was it, folks. Anybody have any questions, or anyone not here where their number was drawn? Again, I'm going to do the lottery sorting tonight, so check your email. I should be able to send you the results in the next couple of hours. The results will be sorted onto the 7 different waiting lists, so you'll be able to see. And again, I'll just be using your lottery application numbers, so your identity will be anonymous, and you'll just check the list of the different unit sizes that you were eligible for, and you'll scroll down and find your number on the the one list or the several waiting lists, depending on what you applied and were eligible for. And then that will give you a sense of when you may be moving forward in the process. And also, how many units there were and how many other people are on those waiting lists. So keep your eyes out for that. And just remember, congrats on getting this far. That's great. This is a great opportunity. There's a couple more steps before you would be able to, rent an affordable unit at Viva, but they're certainly all attainable. Next step would be applying for a lease with the leasing office. Hopefully you're eligible. And then if you are, you'd come back to us, to SEB Housing, to do the final program certification, where you submit all your income and asset documentation, and hopefully you have, built that file, or at least started it, and you have a lot of those documents ready. Or maybe you start doing that now, so that if and when that time comes up, you've got those documents ready and you can submit them all to us. So I'll hang tight for another, 30 seconds or so, just to see if anyone has any questions. But if not, just keep your eye out on your email, and I will send you something by the end of this evening with the waiting lists and some other information about next steps moving forward. So congrats again on getting this far, and thanks for joining tonight. All right. I don't see anyone with any questions. If you do end up having questions, yeah, Valerie, that's a good question. And it's essentially because of a program rule that we have to do a separate drawing for the local preference households. Realistically, we should be able to just do one drawing with all households, and then we can figure out how to sort them onto the different lists. But that's a program rule, and we can't really get around it. And further kind of complicating the matter, and you may have seen this from the info packet, or if you didn't catch it or didn't see it, you can look at it. But what you're going to see is if you look at the info pack, we give examples of exactly how the waiting lists are created. And you're going to see that non-local preference households are on the local preference waiting list and vice versa. So everyone's on every waiting list of a bedroom size that they're actually eligible for. They may just be in a different spot on that waiting list. Just to give you kind of a hypothetical, Valerie, let's say you have two different two-bedroom waiting lists. One of them's local preference and one of them's not. Similarly, you have two households that are type 2 who applied for those 2 bedrooms. Well, on the local preference list, the household who qualifies for local preference is going to be above the household who doesn't on the local preference list, independent of where they're drawn. It doesn't matter. So I can tell you that without even doing the drawing. If I said I got a household A and a household B, they're both type 2, they both applied for a 2-bedroom, one of them's local preference and one of them isn't, I don't even have to draw them because I know that the local preference household is going to be ahead of the other household on the local preference list. But on the general list, I can't say that. It'll just be whoever gets drawn first in the general drawing will be ahead of the other one. So hopefully that answers your question. But the kind of long and short of it is all households will be on all waiting lists that they're eligible for. Roshana, yes, you did miss the drawing, but do you want to tell me your lottery application number and I can tell you where you were drawn? Or if you want to just wait, I'm gonna, like I've been saying, I will send the waiting list tonight within the next couple hours to your email, and the waiting lists are going to have the actual order that you are, ranked chronologically, top to bottom, that you'll get to move forward. So the waiting lists are actually going to give you much more information than just the particular order that your number was drawn, which was what I just did right here. But it's hard to know exactly what this means because you don't know any of these households, what type of unit they applied for. You don't know what household size they are. You don't know if they have local preference or not. You don't know any of those things. So this doesn't mean a whole lot yet. I have to sort it all out and make the waiting list, which I will do. And then I will send those to you tonight. And then you'll be able to say, okay, well, I was on the 1-bedroom list. There are X number of households on that list, and I'm number 5. Great. That gives you a very, and there are X number of units. So that will give you a real, some knowledge about what to expect moving forward. Okay, great. Thank you. I will send that out tonight. And if you have questions after that, go ahead and reach out. Happy to answer them. And if, you can, if you want to go back and watch this, it'll still be available. So you could always go back and watch it again. Or for the first time. Any other questions? All right. Thank you again, everyone. You know where to find us if you do have questions. I'll send out some more information this evening, and hopefully we'll be seeing a bunch of you sometime in the next couple weeks or months as you move on to, hopefully you'll have been past step 2 and you'll be on step 3 of completing the certification application with us with all your income and asset documentation. So thanks, stay safe out there, and everyone have a great night.